This is just a test to make sure my audio is working for in-game and that, so that way I don't run into the same problem that I did last night, where I recorded an hour and a half worth of footage and the game audio was muted because it was recording the wrong device. Let that be a lesson. Keep in mind, always check your equipment and make sure that everything's working before you go. Even if you're having a bad day, like I did. Already looks solid. Perfect, so it might be lagging. Thankfully, what my next project is not gonna be like online specific. I just need to replay the first half of Resident Evil 3. Kinda sucks that if you don't have the right device recorded, it's just gone and you're stuck with it. So I'll keep that footage as like an outtake, as a lesson to just keep in mind. That was before combat. So those that play Final Fantasy, this is Hero's Gauntlet, essentially Gimlet Dark 2.0. If you remember the dungeon from Stormblood, playing as a ninja, and this is just a random group of people. Thankfully, I can have faith with this group that they will not make this kind of painful. Just doing prep work as a ninja should. It's actually difficult to tell if I fainted there. Just because of the effects of the Bunshin creating a double. Fine, sir. That's a rough thing about melee in this game. It's like positionals are definitely like required. Never really tell if that ever catches due to the whole like server tick thing. Excuse me. Very simple fight, just does a couple bait and switches, just follow the indicators and that's where he's gonna go. It gives you the AoE example of what the attack is gonna be, so really shouldn't have much trouble figuring out where he's gonna go, and that's pretty much the only threat. If you're melee, you may have to adjust your positioning a little bit because you're guaranteed to get an AoE circle in the middle of it. Standard operating dungeon procedure. Just roll out of my way. Looks like I'm stabilized now. Don't want to seem to be lagging. I feel like Ninja is like very intensive when it comes to lag. Like, you can't really like count on anything to work. You try to do it as fast as possible, but you don't know if you're lagging or not. It's a good way to tell if like the mudras don't go like within the half second you press them. Right away I've heard of what the ninjutsu system was back in the day. I kind of prefer what the current. Just a couple major packs. Pull these two to the next pack that's up ahead. The chest up ahead as well, extra loot. I normally roll for the loot. Ah shit, I'm getting pulled in combat. Nope, okay. I try to avoid getting pulled into combat just so I can get away with putting a Doton vanish. Except, my Doton's not gonna get respected right now because it's way the hell over there. All these enemies here are basically like heroes from other dimensions. Explained. Grab the MSQ if you haven't done it yet. Feel free to grab the chest, there's always extra loot in this dungeon. Not like other dungeons where there's supposedly extra loot, but then it just gives you a potion. Save opening as usual for Ninja. Thankfully she didn't turn all that much, so I didn't have to readjust. Damn it, I moved too much. Oh well. The thing about the encounters in between bosses in the dungeons is that you have some leftover resources from your drop gauges, and you can't really help that. Like, it's not like you can just change your jobs and just get rid of the gauges. Corpse explosion's gonna play a big part in this. You play Diablo 2. It basically makes corpse go boom, and since this necromancer raises those corpses, it's essentially just, yeah. Which also makes death throws make a reappearance in this game, as they simply just cling to you. Positioning plays a key role here, and it determines whether or not you're getting hit by 1, 2, or all 3. And I'm only saying all 3 because a melee DPS can take 3 and maybe live. Surprised I'm alive. And again, if I was doing the progression of this fight as you unlock it, I would be very dead. But I've done the entire Savage tier, so I'm best in slug. And I forgot to write on because I was kind of worried about the whole falling up bit. this. Because it's gonna hurt. Never mind. It's basically insurance, since the healer died. You'll have tanks either freak out of the tethers and try to get away from the target as soon as possible, thinking that if they make contact they'll explode and you die, which that's definitely a mechanic in other MMOs and other fights, but not this one. They simply just beat on you and death throws you. Then explode. If you're a tank, you can literally take all of them. It's just the rest of the cast that is more in danger. So we just wait for the tank to hopefully pull the next pack that's up ahead. They'll have NPCs assisting you throughout the throughout this portion, so if you've done any other world quests, it's all those characters. They all meet up and give you a hand. It's essentially what Kian, Yagiri, Lise, and the rest of the cast did in the Gimlet Dark. Pippin as well. Hey, Merrick. Basically the cast. It's a well thought out choice for them to just go with like an altered variation of the Gimlet Dark formula. Just celebrate all you accomplished. It's much more impactful if you've done all the role quests, because you get a pretty decent chunk of storyline from that. Just let them guide up this hillside. If you're wondering about the role quests, they detail the rest of the characters that have been dealing with the flood and are trying to like make their way into the world, or trying to make up for something that they did, or in the dwarf's case, get drunk. I mean, to be fair, he's a lot more deeper than that. He's like looking for something. Like, two of the characters are looking for something, and gets pretty deep. Some important characters of the past, all the way back from Heaven's Ward, are involved. Yeah, once the dwarf, Diot is his name, it looks like. Once he does his final limit break, Passage of Arms will fade and you can actually do damage, because the Spectral's version of Passage of Arms is a 90% damage reduction. Wouldn't that be nice? At least it feels like 90% because I'm literally doing nothing when I attack them. What I end up deciding to do with that mechanic is to just prep gauges or do anything, other preparation that I might need. And now we're in the final boss of the dungeon, which is this guy. The dude with the great sword called a Spectral Berserker. He doesn't have a tank buster, but he has a lot of other mechanics that make him dangerous. But he's not to be underestimated, is what I'm trying to say. Apologize for the bad English. I've had quite the day at work and I'm a little tired. Still able to make that despite the double weave. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea to get used to opener rotations with extra gauges, because you're never going to have them in boss fights. Last hidden and front. As melee, you want to try to get close enough to the tank's AoE circle, but not stand in it. And because Black Mage has got a Black Mage, I pretty much fucked this over. to adjust for all that, so my rotation's a little fucked. Okay, nope, I'm good. Just gotta get a couple GCDs in. Pay attention to my boot shin, then again my rotation's a little dead. I'm kinda just trying to salvage it. Just like any specific rotation, it's very fragile for errors. So if you have to adjust for something, or if something goes really bad, you literally have to make sure you do it right. Really just a good point to just try not to panic as you try to do some maintenance work on your gear on your rotation. See, now I gotta... Alright, should be fine. Get my first window going. Thankfully it's mostly ranged, so I can get away with doing this. I know I overcapped, but it's kind of a washed rotation. Melee OB2 is simply 5% of damage lopped off of the boss's health, but since we're doing we're doing very well, despite the adjustments I had to make, I'm not just go to the paladin. Ephemeral Necromancer is a minion that I'd never see very often. Probably not getting it because I only got a 58. But yeah, so that's the Hero's Gauntlet. And then after this, you get to the finale trial, and that's the end of Shadowbringers. You get to have that fun time of an ending. So I hope you enjoyed this. And at the very beginning, I mentioned. Of the advice I have, always make sure that your devices are set to your audio, your video, everything, whether you're using OBS or otherwise. And this is simply just a test to make sure that it works. This probably won't see YouTube, and if it does, I guess I just didn't feel like leaving it sit there. Well, till then, take care.